live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. What day is it? It's the day after an election here in Utah. That's how I know. It is September 6th. We're going in depth tonight briefly on that, but we're also going to talk about a very interesting case that is already starting to captivate people here in Utah. We'll get into it with Jake Taylor and criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro in just a few minutes. Let's get to the latest numbers that came into our newsroom just a few minutes ago. Utah's special congressional primary still too close to call between Celeste Malloy, Becky Edwards, and Bruce Huff. Here's a look at those numbers as we know it right now. Celeste Malloy with 38% of the vote, roughly 29,000 and change. We did receive some votes coming in within the last 40 minutes or so. It was a dump from some of the other counties. She has a 2.5% lead, maybe close to 3 now on Becky Edwards, and then Bruce Huff down here by trailing by about 9,000 votes. But 82% of the vote is in as we know it here. We're still waiting on Salt Lake County and Washington County, and we are told we are not going to get them tonight. Celeste Malloy leading. Let's talk to her. She's kind enough to join us here on 2 News Live. One of the candidates vying for the District 2 seat. Celeste, thank you for making the time. I know you and I were talking briefly before we started here. It has been a busy day for you after a long night. How are you feeling today, first and foremost?
I'm probably the most relaxed I've been in 2 months. I haven't had to go try to convince anybody to vote for me today.
So where are we right now? Where's your mindset here after seeing the most recent numbers come in that extends your lead a little bit more here in what's just a really tight race?
It feels good. It's moving in the right direction. This is the kind of progress I want to see. I said last night, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I have no way of controlling what the rest of the numbers look like, but I like the direction they're going.
At what point will you feel comfortable? Do you need to get a phone call? Do you need to hear from Becky or Bruce or both? When are you ready to say, hey, if this thing holds true, I'm on to the next steps here?
I guess when the AP calls it, I don't know. I haven't really made that decision yet. I've been working all day. I've actually been driving. This is the first time I've seen those new numbers. So I don't have a definitive answer for you on that. I'm sure before this week is over.
I do want to ask you, have you talked to Representative Stewart at all over the last 24, 48 hours? I know I have talked to him on this very program. I've talked to him about his future and where things are, and obviously speaks very highly of you. Have you spoken to him?
He called me last night and just congratulated me on the way the numbers were looking last night and told me he's really excited for me, which was really sweet.
So what's next tonight for you here? Are you going to study the data? Are you going to try to let it just go away for a little bit? Where's your mindset at here?
Well, I'm in Milford right now. I've been in Delta all day and I'm on my way home to Cedar City. So what's next for me is the rest of my drive, then hopefully a good dinner and a decent night's sleep. It's been a while since I've gotten 8 hours of sleep. So hopefully that's the next thing, and we'll see what tomorrow's data updates bring.
We can hope that's in the cards for you tonight. Celeste Malloy joining us live from the road here on 2 News Live after the latest numbers, moving things a little bit more in her favor here from the primary last night. Celeste, thank you for the time. Thank you for joining us tonight.
No problem.
So last night on 2 News Live, we went in depth on the Republican primary election for Utah's Congressional District 2. If you want some more insight on what we talked about on the race, the candidates, the impacts, join us again. Rewatch Tuesday's episode online on our KUTV YouTube page. Let's go in depth now on a case that's gaining some national attention. A Utah vlogger and her business partner arrested, accused of child abuse. You've probably seen this on our website, KUTV.com. Ruby Frank, whose 8 Passengers YouTube channel had more than 2.6 million subscribers before it was taken down, along with her business partner, Jody Hildebrand, founder of the Orem, Utah-based mental and emotional healing company, Connections Classroom. They were arrested last week. Both are facing felony counts of aggravated child abuse after authorities in Washington County say 2 children in their custody were found to be malnourished and neglected. Tonight, we are digging a little bit deeper into this case. It has gotten a lot of attention from you at home. There will be a judge involved on Friday. We are moving through the process here, not to be judged. Jacob Taylor joining me here on the program. I know you've been looking through a lot of paperwork today. What have you been combing through?
So we've been combing through the court records. What have we seen over the last week? Because it's been 7 days today since Ruby Frank was arrested, as well as Jody Hildebrandt, looking to what's happening next with the case in particular, especially involved with her being in jail for the past 7 days. She wasn't given bail, and if she is going to get that, if she's going to be released eventually with that coming meeting on Friday. That's going to be happening at 1:30, the judge making that decision.
A lot of paperwork out there, a lot that we're still waiting to go through. I know that for sure, which is interesting. But as far as what you found from some of the court documents today, what stands out to you from what you've seen?
I think what stands out is a little bit of a difference of opinion you see in the court. Now, the judge that originally decided that she would be held without bail said that there was a clear and convincing evidence that showed that she would be a danger to the public or individuals and would potentially flee the area if released. But since then, we have seen a report, the official court safety assessment, that determined differently. It said that she had a relatively low risk of reoffending, low risk of fleeing the area, of not showing up to court, as well as saying it recommended that she would be released with only some minor requirements like checking in with the court by phone once a month.
Jake Taylor here in studio. I know that there was a lot to look through, and this is very interesting because of the social media presence, because of the channels that they represent, physically focusing on family, on children, and then to have these charges against you. I think it had a lot of people up in arms.
It had a lot of people up in arms. Obviously, there's some nationwide interest, which obviously is focused on this case. We've heard, you may hear more in a little bit about how this kind of attention on a case changes things, what effect it has. We're also hearing that there could potentially be more charges coming, as they haven't interviewed all of the children involved.
Jake Taylor joining us here on 2 News Live. Jake, thank you for diving in. Thank you for taking a look at some of those documents, because there's much more to come with this case, and obviously it's gotten a lot of attention. So it's something we want to continue to go in depth on here with criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro. It's nice to have you here.
Always glad to be back, Brian.
What are you looking at when it comes to this case? What stands out to you?
This case is interesting. Again, we're looking at 6 charges with regard to 2 different victims. We don't know a lot about it. There's very little contained in the probable cause statement as to the actual allegations of what constituted the malnourishment or the neglect or the abuse in this case.
What stands out when you look at someone like a Ruby Frank, or I guess the person that she's working with? They have a large following. This is part of their job, right? This is part of that social media reality. And then to see these charges against them, is it possible these YouTube videos, these episodes, are part of the evidence that are used? Has anything really looked at that says, hey, all of this is out there, we may be able to use this?
Very much so. They made their entire platform on tough parenting, I guess, to describe it. And over the course of time, people have called them out on some of their posts as being, borderline child abuse or inappropriate or things like that. And then they've come forward and issued explanation for why they were doing what they were doing. So in this case, I think this is going to be of evidentiary value, probably both for the prosecution and the defense in this case, as they work through, what's out there to the extent that they can still get it. I'm sure it's somewhere saved in the internet world.
Always is, right?
I do expect we are going to see, those things have evidentiary value, especially where it may pertain to those specific children. Now, there'll be an argument from the defense that, it's not relevant or it's prejudicial, but.
Where do we go from here? This is very early,
This
right?
is very early. So they have an initial appearance scheduled at that hearing. Essentially, all that's going to happen is the judge is going to waive the formal or read the formal charges to them. probably set it over. They can hear the issue of detention at that hearing, or depending on the defense, they may choose to set that over for maybe a larger block of time so they can argue, why they're not a danger, why they're not subject to flee, those types of things.
You're right. Tough parenting is kind of what the YouTube channels were focused on. And then looking through some of the documents that are up on your screen there's obviously descriptions of what the abuse looks like. Probable causes statements obviously are one person's or many people's account, but it's not the full story. So there's still the other side of this that we need to hear. We need to figure out, right?
Right. This is law enforcement's account of what they found, essentially up to this point, and what they presented with a judge in order to get an arrest warrant and a no bail hold initially, and then an information was filed. So this is really one-sided at this point.
Yeah, and that's how it typically begins. Unfortunately, that is how we see it too. You know how that works, of course, but that is how we are presented with a lot of that information. And then it just kind of weaves its way around. This will obviously get a lot of media coverage and a lot of play as well.
I would expect so, given how significant they were in this vlogging world and the number of followers.
Yeah, and the followers may increase as we found with
Right.
more attention. Thank you as always for coming in.
It's so great to see you again. Thank you.
So if you'd like to see more of our past reports on this very case, again, this is all very new. This is all happening within the last 7 days or so where a lot of this is happening. You can find all of these online, KUTV.com, the 2 News mobile app, and that is where you can find a lot of our previous coverage here on the 8 Passengers YouTube channel that is now getting a lot of attention. Thank you to Jacob Taylor and thank you to Sky Lazaro for chiming in on that because it won't be the last. Let's talk about sunshine and rainbows, can we? Well, a little bit of sunshine and no rainbows that I see here. Just a nice, clear day. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you in here. I don't know why.
Morning show.
Yeah, I mean,
the weekend.
We haven't had that
we're back.
consistent thing going here on 2 News Live, but you and I have definitely talked about this before, and I know you've lived it here, being in certain parts of the region where the monsoon was flowing.
Monsoon, all or nothing. We talk about it. Monsoon season is July, August, and September. And boy, what a September it has been down in St. George. Keep in mind, we're still in the first week of September. And take a look. St. George at 3.83, making it the second wettest September on record. And yet we still have several weeks left in the month to maybe break the all-time wettest September on record.
Well, this is obviously not all at once. You don't want all the water
No.
at once because we can see what happens there. But coming off of a record year for snowfall in certain areas, coming off of the D word, right? Drought in the last couple of years, and coming back from that, this can only help, right?
Huge dent. Of course, a lot of the water is feeding into some of those rivers and streams, and eventually, though, it does go into areas like Lake Mead, Lake Powell. So we are starting to see a big dent in that drought. And really, we're not seeing a whole lot of drought conditions at the moment down in central and southern Utah because of the epic winter and now a very active monsoon. I know we've had some flash flooding, but it has been a fantastic 2023.
Let's take a look at your forecast.
Thank you. And it looks pretty nice to be outdoors now. We can dry things out. We got a whole month's worth of rain just a few days ago. Today, sunny, temperatures in the 80s in northern Utah, Heber at 79, Rock Springs 76. Love the comfortable weather, and low 90s in St. George and down in southern Utah, not too bad. And with the clear skies, we're going to be cooling off. Not as cool as it was this morning. It was crisp in some areas, but how about some 40s in Ely, Elko, Park City, Evanston? We'll be in the upper 50s and low 60s along the Wasatch Front, near 50 degrees in central Utah. So the overall pattern is this ridge of high pressure to drift westward. Here's the jet stream. It's just north of Utah, and that's where we had a couple weak storms. We saw those gusty winds yesterday evening. We might get some gusty winds coming out of some of these isolated thunderstorms across northwestern Utah. I doubt any of this will really make it. Definitely not to the Wasatch Front, but maybe far northern Utah towards Tremont and Cache Valley. They're going to fall apart once the sun sets, and so we'll just likely see some clouds, but maybe a little bit of wind coming out of these showers. This is 8 o'clock this evening, and again, not making it really here to the I-15 corridor. And then as we head into tomorrow, though, it's going to be a very sunny day. Again, high pressure is in control, and temperatures are going to be warming up just a bit. We'll be in the mid to upper 80s for tomorrow, so tack on a couple degrees for you. Mid 80s in central Utah, but still in the 70s in Park City and Evanston and Rock Springs. Really nice weather to be up in the mountains this time of year. And 94 down in St. George. So it is, again, getting hotter as this high drifts towards the west. That's going to keep the jet stream away from Utah, so no rain is in the forecast through the weekend. I know your Labor Day weekend, we had all the rain, all the wind, and the cooler temperatures, not this weekend. So make those outdoor plans. There's a lot going on. We have the State Fair, the Greek Festival, Peach Days. Again, a little warm in the afternoon, so wear your sunscreen. But again, very comfortable generally. Now, as we head into Tuesday, though, the high kind of fizzles and will allow for temperatures to drop maybe a degree or two, and a little bit of moisture could sneak into southern Utah. So we've added a slight chance for a pop-up thunderstorm. Doesn't look too significant. Sunny weather in St. George, mid-90s through Friday. We're in the upper 90s through the weekend. At least we're not in the triple digits. Overnight lows climbing from the 60s to the 70s. And then we'll cool off a bit Tuesday, Wednesday, near 90 degrees with those isolated storms. Salt Lake, upper 80s, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Overnight lows still pretty nice in the low to mid 60s. And then we'll cool off a degree or two, mid 80s by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Couple clouds rolling in. There might be some stray mountain thunderstorms middle of next week, but I don't see anything really significant. No surges of tropical moisture. Kind of quiet, really, for the next 7 days, which, you know what, that is okay after Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday here in Utah.
I forgot what I said to Sterling maybe yesterday. I was like, oh, that looks easy. Did you even have to do much to it, right? Because it's probably the most simplified.
This is an easy forecast
Easy
to make.
forecast.
But, you know, we had to do some digging and
Right.
found out how much rain St. George picked up.
I'm
so.
not saying you didn't do the job. I'm just saying compared to recent, he works hard. But I'm saying
Thank you.
compared to recent forecasts, recent
Correct.
7 days
Oh.
over the last couple months, I mean, you've been seeing
All year long,
chance
really.
of afternoon thunderstorms every single
That's
day.
right.
Where are they going to be? This is just so different, I
Yeah.
think, than what we've seen.
That's right. Very, very quiet weather. So we're just going to keep it calm and quiet for
Pretty
a while.
soon, those colors are going to change, so
Yeah.
we'll be looking for the foliage forecasts here
Ooh.
coming up in a few weeks, right?
Yes, typically that is going to be late September
Okay.
and early October is when we usually see those fall colors peak. So those family photos, start booking them now
Yeah.
for late September, early October.
I'm just trying to influence the seasonal change here every way I
Hey,
can.
it's coming.
Remember to download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts, the live radar right at your phone. The app is, of course, free to download. And then join us, please, Monday through Friday at 5:30. We are streaming in all sorts of different places. We're live on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on your phone, your tablet, your computer. We're also on your television. A couple great apps out there where you can not only get us on News On. I didn't realize how much you can get on that app, but I hope you join us every day at 5:30. Chase, I think looking at that forecast, weekend looks really nice.
Yep.
I think we'll take it, living in the 80s. No one's got to worry about overexertion of the heat. Get out, enjoy those early morning
There's
exercise.
a lot going on this weekend.
Yes.
I mentioned it earlier, but there's also Oktoberfest, Greek Festival, a lot of great eating going on this weekend. And I'll be at the Utah State Fair for tomorrow.
So what happens at the State Fair? I've never been.
What doesn't happen at the State
So
Fair?
we're eating,
we are eating,
we're
we
eating,
are
we're
playing, and we
cruising
are having
around?
fun. There's a lot of activities also going on at the State Fair, so we're going to kind of check them all out and give you a preview.
And the Greek Festival as well is a fun time. I know you've been there a couple
That's
times,
going to be
right?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, yes. And that food is just incredible.
Well, I saw
And
them
the best
setting
people.
up for it last weekend. They put
Yep.
the big tent out there here downtown.
That's right.
Looks like a good time. And of
It
course,
is.
I need to go up to Oktoberfest up there at Snowbird or
Mm-hmm.
Snow Weissen, right? Weissen at Snow Basin on
right.
Sundays.
Yep.
Check it out.
A lot going on.
A lot to see, a lot to do, and we are leaving from here. We're back tomorrow at 5:30. Another in-depth conversation or two. We hope you'll join us. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. We're back for a Thursday edition of 2 News Live. Good night.